But you idiots hate policy. All you want is identity politic bullshit, and you think that drives ratings, and you want me to show humility to those morons? None. Zero.
Cenk Uygur went to Hasan's own house to destroy him in a debate because of Hasan Piker's ridiculous stances on the 2024 election and so many other things that the woke cult has brainwashed him into thinking, and also the audience capture that he has. You know, the more woke he gets, the more money he makes. So it's just like an endless vicious cycle that Hasan Piker is in. It's been really weird for me because not only have I been agreeing with Anna Kasparian for the last year or so, especially on cultural issues, but now Cenk Uygur is starting to become a lot more commonsensical than before. And I've been agreeing with him a whole lot on a lot of his takes. It's a weird feeling, but it's also a great feeling and a great thing to see that Cenk Uygur can come around like this, and he's even destroying his own nephew, Hasan Piker, in this video. Let's get into this clip here, where Cenk Uygur goes to Hasan's house and absolutely wrecks him in this debate.
Case, you're on the right side. You say f the corporate interests, f the donors, right? So, and the populist right agrees with that. So that's actually an interesting point that we should come back to, a point of agreement we should come back to. But the part where we disagree, Haas, is you say, well, if they're digging in on a wedge issue, ignore it. But Kamala Harris literally did that. They had a giant debate about whether to address it or not.
No.
They even pulled ads where they addressed it.
You're misunderstanding me.
And they decided, oh, let's not address it.
You're wrong.
It was a mistake.
They literally also, like, they did this with immigration especially. Like, they were like, we're not going to ignore it. We're just going to get ahead of it. And what they did with immigration, they're going to do with trans issues next election cycle. And it's the same principle over and over again. It makes you look like a hypocrite, and it makes you look like the Republicans were right all along. And the only thing it does is prime your base into conceding and agreeing with the Republican framing on an issue. If
so
there
what
was
do you do instead? What I say is I delineate. So when you say, hey, Andy Bashir runs against it, but which issue? So if you're talking about constitutional rights, you fight for trans rights 100%. You're talking about military, you fight 100%. I'd fight on bathrooms. I'd fight on high school. But I draw the line on sports. I draw professional sports. I draw the line on giving free surgeries.
That's the thing.
Then you could defend your position and get back to where the great majority of American people agree with you.
You want to know why there's no reason to draw any of these lines? Because Kamala Harris did actually bring this up, which I thought was like, especially because like she didn't have a clear or consistent position on this at all. It was like it was left out there in the dark. But like Trump did the same thing as well for undocumented migrants.
Say that I know.
It's just like it's a thing that nobody gives a shit about until people are primed into caring about it. That's my point. It's been happening for a very long time for prisoners that want to get this component of healthcare, and nobody technically gives a shit about it. It's already like a incredibly tiny, minuscule, marginal percentage. So it doesn't matter. Like it ultimately doesn't matter. I'm saying if the Democrats had something if Democrats had, but it didn't, and I'll get to that in a second. If Democrats had something that they were fighting for, nobody would give a shit about this. That's the point.
Yeah, but
you brought up Bernie Sanders. And you said, oh, healthcare, universal healthcare. Bernie Sanders has also said trans rights are human rights. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like...
But that's the difference between 2016 and 2020.
It's not like Bernie Sanders. It's not like Bernie Sanders himself is saying like, yeah, trans people, we got to cut him out of this bargain.
Trans people, you guys are just making that up.
No,
but in Haas, when you frame it that way, you get all these crazy
Republicans
people
are
online.
saying that. Republicans are saying that.
No, I know, but we're not saying that.
No, I know.
These crazy people.
The politicians aren't saying that though. Donald Trump, like, there's probably a group of Republicans that are saying, and you know, F trans people is probably a little bit strong. I think it's more that the Republicans are saying these people are mentally ill and we're treating them as if they're not. We're treating them as if they're just normal humans when I think they need help. And I don't think it's saying F trans people or anything like that. The politicians are definitely not saying that though. Like not even anywhere close to that. Donald Trump, he hasn't said anything like that. Nothing that could even be misinterpreted as that. That's just a bad faith argument. That's just Hasan Piker saying something that is completely untrue, which is par for the course for the way that Hasan debates. And it's, once again, shocking that Cenk Uygur would even push back on that, because normally, you know, normal Cenk Uygur, the Cenk Uygur that I know from the last 10 years, would just say, yeah, dude, Republicans say that stuff all the time. It's absolutely disgusting. I can't believe they won this election. Let's just double and triple down on identity politics. Something happened with this election, man. It broke a lot of people's brains, but kind of in a good way. Like, it broke Cenk Uygur and these types of people to where they're starting to wake up and think, guys, our ideology is actually completely wrong. Now, there's people like Hasan Piker out there that are still saying, no, the Republicans are just racist bigots, and that's why Kamala Harris lost. And, we'll just never be able to elect a black person, even though Obama won, or we'll never elect a woman. It's like, even though Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, it's maybe because Donald Trump won the popular vote and the Electoral College, and they're still using these same excuses. Maybe it's because the cultural issues, the left is just losing so hard on. They're losing so badly in the culture right now. And you can tell when somebody's losing in the culture when they're not willing to have discussions with the other side. When Kamala Harris gets an invite to go on Joe Rogan's podcast and Joe Rogan says, yeah, like, come on, like, well, I'll give you this platform for free. You don't have to pay me. I'm going to put you in front of hundreds of millions of people to see if they like you or see if they don't. And you say, okay, but we have to have editorial control over the entire thing. You have to come do it at our place. We can't do it in your environment. And Donald Trump is just like, yeah, sure, I'll come on. Let's have some fun. That's how you know which side is winning and which side is losing, especially in the culture, which is super important nowadays. Hasan Piker, he's losing in the culture, man. Everybody knows who is not in the woke cult, who's not completely brainwashed like Hasan. Everybody knows he's a joke. He's an absolute joke. And so was Cenk Uygur, but he's waking up now. He's starting to wake up, at least on the cultural side of things.
Online who are like, oh my God, if you don't agree to free surgeries for every trans person on planet Earth, you're a Nazi. Well, those people exist, and those people, that is the radical left, and they are stupid, and they do cost us elections.
No, you're hyper focusing, and I've had this conversation privately with you many times over. You are hyper focusing on people that are in your replies on Twitter. And because
so
that's all
that radical left is bullshit,
all you interact,
stupid dumbasses. Do you agree?
There are a million people.
No, of course he doesn't agree. Hasan is the radical left. That's why Cenk Uygur even knows that the radical left exists. Hasan is trying to say that Cenk Uygur is hyper focusing on the people in his DMs. Hasan is saying this stuff because you are his nephew. Cenk is saying this stuff because Hasan is his nephew. He sees your streams, dude. They talk about it. Anna Kasparian and Cenk talk about it all the time. Whenever they talk about Twitch streamers who are saying this radical leftist stuff, they're talking about Hasan. They're talking about you. He's not talking about people in his DMs. He's talking about you. You are the radical left. Does he really not think he's the radical left? Hasan, it's amazing to me that he's still like able to be on Twitch with some of the stuff he says. He says some crazy things, man. Like, he is 100% the radical left.
People that are both in your replies that have also gotten mad at me as well, time and time again, on specific issues, maybe ones that even pertain to trans rights. Okay. It literally doesn't matter. People get very passionate, understanding. I'm very understanding.
Shocking agreement. I agree. There's 13 douchebags online. That's what I said from day one.
I know, but why the would you ever hyper focus on people like that?
No. So you might be doing the right thing. Hold on.
You're doing the Bill Maher thing. You're demanding that there needs to be a sister soldier.
Bullshit.
No, you're doing the sister soldier moment.
No, bullshit.
No, you're trying to.
So the minute we said the most
if you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Reasonable things on earth, which you now agree with, apparently. Then what happened? It wasn't just the 13 douchebags online. And by the way, everybody said, no. Those 13 douchebags represent all the left. You're not on the left anymore because the 13 douchebags control the left. And then what happened next? Then Majority Report jumped in, and Lance from the Serfs and all the other little dirtbags jumped in, and they were like, no, Cenk and Anna are turning right. The 13 douchebags are right. We need to protect every trans person should get free surgery.
We got
even in China, even though we have nothing to do with China, we hate them. They're Nazis.
You got to, okay.
I mean, I'm 100% right. Every dirtbag show did it.
You got to
Every dirtbag show did it. Tell me how.
Including Hasan's show. Hasan does that all the time. The thing that we should be worried about, we shouldn't be worried about people like Hasan anymore. And that was proven because every leftist show, like Cenk Uygur is talking about, except for the Young Turks, I can't believe I'm defending them so much recently, but they're by far the best and the only leftist show that I can even tolerate watching anymore because of how crazy these people have gotten. On the Young Turks, they talk about this stuff. And the only people who we should be worried about on the left are people who have ideology like the Young Turks have. Because if people like Hasan stay the way that they are currently, and if they stay with the following that they have, and they keep pushing the same agenda, the same talking points that they currently are, we'll be fine. We're going to win every single election. We're going to run away with it. But if the left start to wake up and start to listen to Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian, you should be worried about that because Cenk is completely correct. if you go with someone more like Bernie, I don't know if Bernie is the best person for it, but if someone more like Bernie, like Cenk Uygur likes to call it populist, where you're just running on what's popular with the people, like actually popular, not popular in your own echo chamber, not popular in your little Hollywood bubble, actually popular with the people, the American people. That's how you're going to win a lot of elections, and the left would be very good at that. Because I just think about my former self, like my younger self. If you were to tell me that I could do absolutely nothing all day, every day, play video games all day, every day, and I would still receive $2,000 a month from the government, universal basic income, that sounds absolutely amazing. If you run on that, you're going to win so many votes. But they're not going to, but instead of doing stuff like that and running on stuff like UBI, which I don't agree with, I don't think UBI is a good thing at all. I'm just saying my former self would have absolutely loved that. That sounds so awesome. Be able to do nothing and just make $2K a month, that's amazing. Obviously, it's going to be horrible for the economy and inflation, but it sounds great to somebody who doesn't really understand those things. But they're not running on that. They're running on cultural issues that they are losing on. They're running on trans surgeries for trans inmates or whatever, gender affirming care for trans inmates, all that other BS that nobody cares about. People are starting to realize that this stuff is just nonsense. It doesn't actually affect their lives, whether or not trans inmates have gender affirming care. Nobody cares anymore. And they're still running on that. And that's what Hasan is defending. So if we stay with people like Hasan and they still, are the highest viewed streamers on the political side, then we're going to be great. But if people start to wake up and start to realize that Cenk Uygur is correct and they should start having some populist presidential candidates, that's when we should look out. The good news is the left is very stubborn, and it seems like they're just doubling and tripling down on identity politics, which is amazing for us. So hopefully it stays that way.
I'm wrong.
This is reframing an issue that is now we've moved away from the electoral consequences of a trans ad to your own personal anger and frustration that you have with left-wing media online. We are
so. Do you agree left-wing media online? Those guys that I listed are full of shit.
I have
and in a tiny, stupid minority.
I have disagreements with everyone in this space, but there's a reason why, seemingly, I don't catch the same amount of strays that you do because I don't hyper focus.
I can tell you why.
I don't hyper focus. What do you think it is?
They think you're hot, young. I don't mean attractive. God bless on that. Okay. I'm also obviously hot. I mean, as in they think, oh, the young people watch Hasan. He's cool. And you give the thing of like, oh, no, trans people are right on everything, right? You don't come out and make the distinctions that Anna and I made. Okay. So they think, oh, no, he's good. He's extreme as we are. I think he's woke left. Yay, extremeness.
I think the reason, first of all, you're.
Okay. By the way, majority report and all of you guys, you better attack him. He apparently agrees with me. Okay, you better attack him. You're not going to attack him, are you?
You're hyper personalizing this into like criticisms that you've received.
And punches you in the face 12 times, and you go, whoa! Why are you hyper personalizing it?
Because
just because I called you a Nazi, now it's personal to you.
Because myself, you, majority report,
but I never changed my policy. I never changed my policy.
All of this is inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. And whenever there's like drama, for example, I've been getting attacked mercilessly by my former podcast co-host that has been actively trying to deplatform me for the past 2 months because he thinks that, or he's claiming that I am creating a space that is anti-Semitic. The way I've dealt with that, for the most part, is by just actively ignoring it leading up to the election because I was like, this is some silly nonsense. And in the aftermath, I covered some of the broader points, and I've moved on. If you extend the conflict that way, instead of trying to find a reasonable middle ground, and even show humility in a certain, I don't agree. Even show humility instead of saying I'm right, there's never going to be any sort of real solidarity. Why am I going to show humility to you, a bunch of idiots who are wrong? Because I
like what does humility mean? Like, oh, maybe you're right about your dumb opinion that's going to cost us this election. Okay. Maybe you're right about your dumb opinion that gets the majority of the country to hate us when our economic positions are overwhelmingly popular. Maybe you making us intensely unpopular when we should be focusing on universal health care, higher wages, paid family leave. But you idiots hate policy. All you want is identity politic bullshit, and you think that drives ratings, and you want me to show humility to those morons? None. Zero.
Dude, Cenk is based, man. Like I don't agree with a lot of the policies that he's talking about, But if they did run on those things, that's when we have to look out. Like I said earlier, though, the great thing is we have people like Hasan, who is sitting next to Cenk Uygur, related to, by blood, Cenk Uygur, and still just doesn't even listen to a word he's saying. It blows my mind because Cenk is completely correct, and it's scary how right he is. Hopefully they never actually do listen, though. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this heated debate here between Hasan Piker and his uncle, Cenk Uygur. I obviously think that Cenk destroyed Hasan. He's completely correct, and it's very rare that Hasan ever is. Let me know in the comments, though, what you guys are thinking about this whole Hasan Piker versus Cenk Uygur situation.